There's a saying, when the devil ignores you, then you know you're doing something wrong. Wait a minute, I'm not done now.
Let's talk about the filth that's starting to come out in the early days of the Diddy trial. This, of course, is P. Diddy. Surprise, surprise, he's a creep. Surprise, surprise, he's done horrible things.
Imagine a world where the glitz and glamour of Hollywood's elite masks a web of shocking betrayals, scandalous accusations, and jaw-dropping revelations. Today, we dive into the explosive claims linking Denzel Washington, Oprah Winfrey, and Sean Diddy Combs in a tangled saga of power, hypocrisy, and dark secrets. From Denzel's fiery disdain for his fellow icons to Oprah's alleged double standards and Diddy's descent into scandal, this story will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about your favorite celebrities. Buckle up, this is not for the faint-hearted.
Conversely, when the devil comes at you, maybe it's because you're trying to do something right.
It all starts with Denzel Washington, a man known for his calm demeanor and deeply spiritual persona, who has allegedly had enough of Oprah Winfrey and Sean Diddy Combs. Sources suggest that Washington isn't just unhappy, he's reportedly going out of his way to criticize both publicly and privately. According to insiders, Denzel believes Oprah is a hypocrite who puts wealth and connections above integrity, while he sees Diddy as emblematic of Hollywood's worst excesses. The actor, known for his measured tone in public, is said to be uncharacteristically vocal behind closed doors, making it clear that he views both figures as part of a system he fundamentally disagrees with. The tension surrounding Denzel's stance on Diddy escalated when allegations surfaced against the music mogul, including shocking accusations of human trafficking, coercion, and abuse. One of the most high-profile accusers is Cassie Ventura, the R&B singer and former girlfriend of Diddy, who testified in federal court about her experiences. Her testimony included explicit messages between herself and Diddy that painted a disturbing picture of their relationship. Prosecutors claim Diddy used his influence to orchestrate what were described as freak-off parties, elaborate, controlled encounters involving multiple participants. Cassie's statements revealed a pattern of manipulation and control, with Diddy allegedly using threats and psychological pressure to maintain dominance over his partners. This legal battle has only intensified the scrutiny around Diddy's life, with many wondering how someone so powerful could allegedly engage in such behavior for so long.
Dishonest, violent, horrible. A promiscuous swinger who lied to and cheated on multiple partners. Incredibly, that's how Sean Diddy Combs' own lawyers described the billionaire music mogul, currently facing serious trafficking charges in a New York court.
Oprah Winfrey, meanwhile, has been working hard to distance herself from the fallout. Known for her carefully curated image as a champion of women's rights and empowerment, she has faced criticism for past associations with controversial figures like Harvey Weinstein and John Dedeus. Critics like Rose McGowan and Seal have openly accused her of being complicit in Hollywood's toxic structures, arguing that her silence or inaction allowed abusers to continue unchecked. Oprah has consistently denied any knowledge of wrongdoing at the time, but skeptics question whether her recent distancing from these figures is genuine or simply damage control. For Denzel Washington, this perceived lack of accountability may have fueled his growing frustration, especially given his own spiritual convictions and emphasis on integrity.
March 27, 1975, a prophet named Ruth Green prophesied that I would travel the world and preach to millions of people.
Denzel's religious beliefs are well documented. He often speaks about faith, prayer, and the importance of living a morally grounded life. He has been a member of the West Angeles Church of God in Christ for nearly 3 decades and has even contributed to religious projects like the Bible Experience, an audio recording of scripture. In interviews, he has described his career as a form of ministry, emphasizing that his work should serve a higher purpose. Given this worldview, it's easy to see why he might look down on figures like Diddy, whose lifestyle appears diametrically opposed to his values. Rumors suggest that Denzel has refused to collaborate with either Oprah or Diddy for years, citing ethical concern. Whether this is based on personal conviction or specific behind-the-scenes conflicts remains unclear, but it has undoubtedly contributed to the growing rift between them. Looking back, the deterioration of Denzel's relationships with both Oprah and Diddy seems to have been brewing for some time. While there are no direct public confrontations on record, whispers in Hollywood circles hint at private disagreements and mounting frustrations. Some speculate that Denzel has long avoided working with Oprah due to what he perceives as her moral inconsistencies, supporting progressive causes in public while maintaining ties with men accused of serious misconduct. Similarly, his disapproval of Diddy's alleged behavior may have led to a quiet but firm estrangement between the two. These tensions, once hidden beneath the surface, are now bubbling over as new scandals come to light and old alliances are tested.
Are you surprised by the evidence that's already coming out in the criminal trial?
No, I'm not surprised. I experienced some of those things. Witnessed violence.
As we peel back the layers of this complex narrative, one thing becomes increasingly evident. Denzel Washington sees himself as a man of principle in a town built on illusion. His refusal to compromise his values, even in the face of immense fame and success, sets him apart in an industry where money and influence often dictate behavior. Whether or not his criticisms of Oprah and Diddy are entirely justified remains subjective, but they reflect a broader disillusionment with the entertainment world he has thrived in for decades. As the stories unfold and more details emerge, the lines between truth, perception, and power become ever more blurred, leaving us to wonder who among our idols truly walks the talk and who is simply playing a role. We left off with Denzel Washington's explosive stance against Oprah Winfrey and Sean Diddy Combs, a spiritual man who sees himself standing on the moral high ground while Hollywood crumbles beneath its own secrets. But this story doesn't end with Denzel's disapproval. It spirals deeper into the tangled web of power, silence, and scandal that has defined Oprah's career and now threatens to consume Diddy entirely. Let's dive in.
Have y'all spoke after this?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't have anything against Oprah.
You just called her a
I'm gonna tell you why.
You named your dog Oprah, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Oprah Winfrey's name has long been synonymous with empowerment, healing, and justice. But behind the glossy image lies a trail of controversies that have followed her for decades. Take her South African school, the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls. Once hailed as a beacon of hope, it became embroiled in allegations of abuse when a former matron was accused of inappropriate behavior with students. Though she was eventually acquitted, the damage was done. Oprah herself called the accusations crushing, especially given her own history of childhood trauma. But critics like Seal and Rose McGowan have argued that her response has always been more about optics than accountability. Seal took to Instagram to accuse Oprah of knowing about Harvey Weinstein's misconduct for years, yet doing nothing, calling her part of the very system that protected predators. And Rose McGowan, she didn't hold back either, labeling Oprah as fake as they come for cozying up to men like Weinstein and Russell Simmons, while later championing the Me Too movement. For Denzel, who has built his life around faith and integrity, these contradictions must feel like betrayal, not just of women, but of the values he holds most sacred.
Well, the things that I experienced with him were monster-like. That stuff almost destroyed my life.
Now let's turn to Diddy, because if there's one thing worse than being accused of wrongdoing, it's being associated with someone who is. And right now, A-list celebrities are scrambling to distance themselves from him faster than you can say freak off. Attorney Tony Busby, representing over 120 alleged victims, has started sending out demand letters to stars who attended Diddy's infamous parties, warning them they could face lawsuits even if they weren't directly involved. The argument? Silence equals complicity. That means simply being in the room while things got out of control might be enough to land you in legal hot water. Some names have already begun scrubbing their social media histories, removing old photos and posts linked to Diddy in a desperate attempt to avoid scrutiny. And then there's Tanea Wallace, who claims she saw minors at one of Diddy's events, a claim his legal team has swiftly denied, calling her credibility into question. But the real fear here isn't just reputational damage, it's what comes next. If prosecutors manage to prove a pattern of coercion and exploitation, we could see ripple effects across the industry unlike anything since the fall of Weinstein.
Referred to me as Wild King Nights. And what a Wild King Night was when him and a guest would go to a hotel room or be at his home, his bedroom, and they would have intimate gatherings. I would have to go and prep that hotel room, which consisted of baby oil Astroglide.
One of the most harrowing accounts comes from Dawn Richard, a former Making the Band contestant and longtime collaborator of Diddy. In her lawsuit filed in 2023, she detailed years of psychological and physical abuse during her time under his mentorship. She described being subjected to constant surveillance, manipulated into isolating herself from friends and family, and forced to comply with unreasonable demands under the threat of career sabotage. According to Richard, Diddy created an environment where dissent was punished and obedience was rewarded, effectively trapping young artists in a cycle of control. Her allegations were among the first to paint Combs not just as a predator, but as a calculated manipulator who used his influence to groom and exploit talent.
I thought he was this clean businessman who rise to the top because he was such a powerful and smart, educated man. I had no idea that he had this other side to him. And when I started to get exposed to his lifestyle, I started to really realize, like, this guy has an addiction. It's not just once every few weeks, it's every day, every hour.
Another accuser, identified only as Jane Doe 15 in court documents, alleged that she was just 17 when she attended one of Diddy's infamous parties at a Las Vegas hotel in 2014. She claims she was pressured into intimate acts with multiple men while Combs watched from a nearby couch, allegedly instructing participants on what to do. The woman says she was given large amounts of booze despite being underage and felt unable to leave due to the overwhelming presence of security and Combs' entourage. Her account adds to the growing list of testimonies, suggesting a disturbing pattern of targeting vulnerable young women and coercing them into situations they weren't prepared to navigate. Adding fuel to the fire is the testimony of a former employee of Bad Boy Records who came forward anonymously due to fear of retaliation. This insider claimed that Combs maintained a rotating group of assistants, many of whom were young women with dreams of breaking into the music industry. These individuals were expected to be available around the clock, often accompanying Combs to private residences and hotels under the guise of work-related obligations. The source said that refusing certain requests or showing reluctance could result in immediate termination or blacklisting within the industry. This alleged system of exploitation extended beyond the bedroom, creating a culture of fear and dependency that allowed Combs to maintain control over those in his orbit.
They've been afraid of coming forward. They've been afraid of what he could potentially do to them within the industry, what he could do to them professionally, maybe even personally. And so yes, it's been a dark secret they've held on to for a very, very long time.
Also stepping forward was a woman named Bianca Estelle, a model and aspiring actress who met Combs in 2010 at a high-profile event in Los Angeles. She claims their relationship quickly turned abusive, with Combs allegedly monitoring her phone, dictating her wardrobe, and punishing her for perceived disobedience. Estelle alleges that during one incident at a hotel suite in Miami, Combs became enraged after she failed to respond to a text message quickly enough and physically assaulted her, leaving bruises that required medical attention. She also testified that Combs frequently referred to his female partners as his property, reinforcing a mindset of ownership that made escaping his grip even more difficult. Perhaps one of the most chilling stories involves a minor who was allegedly present at one of Combs' parties in the early 2000s. Tanea Wallace, a former guest at several of these events, testified that she saw a teenage girl being led into a private room by Combs and two of his associates. While details remain murky due to lack of direct evidence, Wallace claims she heard screams coming from the room and later saw the girl emerge visibly shaken and crying. Combs' legal team has strongly denied these allegations, calling Wallace's credibility into question, but prosecutors argue that this testimony fits into a broader narrative of coercion, manipulation, and the deliberate grooming of underage individuals for exploitative purposes. If proven true, this would mark a devastating escalation in the already shocking case against him.
I'm sorry, I'm just I'm in this moment right now. This is crazy. Sorry. People don't really know how much what it does to you when something that you love is taken from you and thrown away like it don't even matter, and then they move on with their lives and you're stuck. You're stuck. During those years, you're still stuck 21 years later.
And speaking of Weinstein, let's talk about the double standard. Oprah has built an empire on being the voice of truth, the champion of survivors, the woman who finally said enough is enough. But where was she when women were whispering about Weinstein? When victims like Rose McGowan were silenced, threatened, or bought off? And what about John de Deus, the Brazilian self-proclaimed healer whom Oprah once praised as inspiring? She brought him onto her show, highlighted his work, and made millions believe in his powers, only for him to later be convicted of multiple assaults after hundreds of women came forward. Did she know? Could she have known? And if she didn't, does that make her naive? Or just another celebrity willing to look the other way for the sake of influence? Denzel Washington, for one, he's reportedly disgusted by the idea that someone can preach empowerment on national television while maintaining ties to powerful men accused of serious misconduct. To him, true integrity isn't about how loud you speak, it's about who you stand beside when the cameras aren't rolling.
It was completely outside of my frame of reference. I've been in show business since I was 14, and I've heard the stories of what happened.
Hollywood, as we've seen time and again, is a place where morality is often negotiable. It's where scandals are swept under the rug, settlements are written in silence, and those who speak out are blacklisted. Denzel Washington, by refusing to collaborate with figures like Oprah and Diddy, is making a statement that few others are brave or foolish enough to echo. His refusal to compromise his beliefs may seem extreme to some, but in an industry where money talks and silence buys safety, it's also incredibly rare. We've seen careers destroyed for less. Just ask Monique, who publicly accused Oprah of blacklisting her after she refused to participate in a press tour for Precious. Or Dave, who supposedly called Oprah a handler for Hollywood elites, though that particular clip has since been debunked as misleading. Still, the perception remains that Oprah plays favorites, that she chooses sides based on power rather than principle, and that her brand of activism only works when it serves her narrative.
I would say, Oprah Winfrey, you know what you need to do. and stop hiding behind what you call was negative comments.
So where does all of this leave us? Diddy is sitting in a federal jail cell staring down the possibility of decades behind bars if convicted. His third bail hearing is coming up, and despite offering a $50 million bond, prosecutors argue he cannot be trusted to follow the rules, citing jailhouse notes allegedly asking family members to dig up dirt on his accusers. Meanwhile, Oprah's carefully curated image is beginning to crack, with past associations coming back to haunt her in ways she never anticipated. And Denzel? He stands apart, watching it all unfold from a distance, perhaps thinking he dodged a bullet by walking away from these alliances years ago. But don't mistake silence for innocence. Everyone in this town has something to hide. The only difference is who gets exposed first. What do you think? Is Denzel truly the moral compass he claims to be, or is this just another performance? Is Oprah guilty of selective outrage, or is she simply a product of an industry that rewards silence? And will Diddy's downfall mark the end of an era, or just the beginning of a much bigger reckoning? Drop your thoughts below, hit subscribe if you want to stay updated on this explosive saga, and remember, in Hollywood, no secret stays buried forever.